Good morning. This is Dr. Bev again, back here to talk a little about the FBI and deprivations, injustices, and all else that goes along with the FBI's criminal acts against me. I had mentioned yesterday some topics that I would like to refresh you with. There were illegal implants, illegal surveillance, torture, gassing, and so forth. But today I want to just touch on the hatefulness of these people and how they implanted me. I wanted to give you a little more detail about how this implant works and how it was done. But before I do so, I wanted to explain to you how I got involved with the FBI in the first place. Well, as I mentioned before, one of my jobs with the military, and this was when I was within the Army, with the Air Force, I should say, I was offered a civil service job with the Air Force to work as a contract specialist on Air Force One. In other words, I was buying everything Air Force One needed, from toothpick to airplanes and everything in between. So what the Air Force did, they knew because of my background and my credentials that I could get jobs anywhere. So they insisted on having me work with this program, Air Force One program. So they paid me a bonus to take the job, $9,700 bonus. And I accepted the job. One of the problems occur immediately was the person that was in charge of this contracting area here on Joint Base Andrews. She was my manager, and she thought I got the bonus because she prepared the paperwork for hiring me, and she demanded $2,000 from that $9,700. I thought that was ridiculous, and I said no. But then this was a civil service job, and as you know, civil service job, you have 1 year probation, and she could fire me within that 1 year period. And speaking to the other people that was in the office at the time that knew the situation with her, told me to just go ahead and give her the $2,000, which I foolishly did, and hoped that that would go away and I could get along with everybody and go forth with the job that I was hired for. But that was not the case. What occurred later is that she wanted me to pay her money out of my paycheck every month, and I said no. So I went to the OSI, which is the Air Force form of the FBI, and I spoke to them about it. And they told me, you have to talk to the FBI because the FBI is the civil service connection to federal crimes. And I did so. And that's when I met the Air Force, the FBI for the first time. Well, we met and they explained to me what I needed to do. So they wired me, meaning they put recording on my body and had me work every day and to see what this supervisor would do. And she continued to ask for more money, and when I keep refusing, she was prepared to fire me. The FBI was able to find that out. So the FBI told me that they were going to set her up by giving me $1,000, marked dollars, to give to her so they could have evidence. And they also told me that morning when I went to put the recordings on, as I always do, that they were going to arrest her. I was shocked and disappointed because I did not want to destroy anyone. For $2,000, I don't think it was necessary. Give her the $2,000 and let her go. But don't destroy her by arresting her. So that's where the FBI and I, we separate parts. I totally disagreed with them, and I wouldn't cooperate any further with them. When they went to court, they wanted me to say things that was not true, and I didn't. And that's where all this started. And that's when the retaliatory action on their part started. Immediately after that, I know what they were up to, and I decided I was going to leave the program. So I got a job with the GSA, and I moved to Boston with GSA and got a promotional job. When I went to GSA, everything was working fine just for a couple of weeks, and then I noticed some attitude with the supervisor that I was reporting to. Then I had to go to court on this situation with the FBI and this supervisor from the Air Force One program. About a week after that court hearing, and we refused to do what they wanted to do, which I thought was illegal, I was fired from GSA without any explanation. So I went ahead and I retained an attorney. The attorney, when we found out that this was just a game being played, but didn't understand why or anything. The point about it is that I did not understand that the FBI was so cruel, so hateful, such devious and terrible things that they do. So I never even thought that they were behind me getting fired. We were able to prove otherwise, and GSA did not fight it. They were good about it. They rehired me, and they paid me for compensation for the time that I lost. There was not a problem there with GSA. But I chose not to stay with GSA. I left and I went to Texas. The money they gave me, I used it, and I bought a house in Texas and stayed there close to my family. Then I noticed that the FBI was following me around, but people were following me around. I didn't know it at the time it was the FBI, but I ignored it. Soon after that, I left and I went to Iraq. So this is just a brief of how I came in contact with the FBI and where we separated our ideas of working and treating people. Their idea was to destroy people, mine wasn't. We're all people, and we're not perfect. But with a badge and a gun and pocket full of money doesn't give you the right to destroy another person, and I wasn't agreeing with the FBI. So, anyway, I would like to now give you a little more information on implants. Well, after this situation, apparently the FBI was following me all this time, trailing me everywhere I go, and I didn't know. I'm new to this. So I went along with my life and did things I wanted to do. Well, in 2009, a defense contracting company by the name of KBR Inc., located in Houston, Texas, while I was there, contacted me and asked me if I could give them a couple of months in Iraq as an air traffic controller. And I said, sure. Why not? Something new. I heard about the Iraqi conflict going on. I knew nothing much about it. So I agreed. On January 18th, 2009, I flew from Houston to Baghdad. And I stayed there at the camp in Baghdad. And I was an air traffic controller, calling shots for the Army operation against the Iraqi. It was a pretty scary job because we were in the middle of fire all the time. And as the air traffic controllers, we were protecting the army from the Iraqi firing. So we were the target. We've had a tower blown down several times, but we were okay. Then on early February, I can't remember the exact date, but it was early February, I was told that I was going to be flown back to the United States because they wanted me to take a colonoscopy test. There was nothing wrong with my colon, but I said, sure, why not? So I was flown back to Houston, Texas, and on the 17th of February, I was told that I had to go to St. Joseph Hospital in Houston, Texas, to meet with a doctor. His name was Garland Gossip, to have a colonoscopy test done, and I did. Well, I would find out later, 7 years later, that what Dr. Gossip did was he implanted a tracking device in my right leg about 8 inches from my knee. It's still there today. That's how the FBI was tracking me. I had no idea what was going on. Like I said, it took 7 years to find out what that little bump on my knees was. It was a capsule, a tracking device. That was only one and the start of the other implants that the FBI would do. I was in Germany. I went to Germany in 2014 after the passing of my mom. I just had to get away because I was stationed in Germany before. I had friends in Germany, and I just wanted to get away. It was very hard on me when my mom died. So I went to Munich, close by where some friends lived, and rented an apartment there. The lady that I worked with as the rental office, we became friends and we used to do things together. She saw that I had some warts around the neck, under the cheek bone here, and so forth. And she recommended a dermatologist by the name of Stefan Gress, Gress, and said he was a good dermatologist and he could remove the warts that was around my neck. So on the 24th of June, I went to his office to get that done. Well, he said he wanted to take some blood from my arm, and I'm very scared of needles. So I turned my neck to the other side and gave him my hand to do the blood test. And that's all I remembered. About 12 hours later, I woke up and I was panicking. I was bleeding. And every opening on my head was bleeding. My eyes, my nose, my mouth, my ears, there was blood everywhere. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I was rushed to a hospital because this was taking place at an outpatient urgency care facility. I almost died, and when I was fit enough to understand what was going on, I reported to the legal foundations, the legal law enforcement offices in Germany. I also reported to the United Nations about that situation as well, because I didn't know what was going on. Then, again, that took me years to find out what it was. The FBI had implanted 6 devices in my head. One of the devices was was a coil right under the cheekbone by the neck. It's still there. The scar is still there. They implanted a coil. I had no idea what that was about. But when I did the MRI, I realized there was a coil, and the coil was attached to a capacitor. I don't know if you understand what a capacitor is, but what a capacitor does, it stores heat. And that you can find in your cooling system, in your heating system, so forth. Well, the coil was attached to the capacitor. It's a miniature, quite obviously, capacitor, because it's in my head. It was planted on the skull of my head, just below the eye. And then there was another device a little above it. I had no idea what that, until this day, I don't know really what it was. All I know, it's a torturing device. It tortures me. Now, the way the capacitor and the coil is used, it's a deadly device. It works together to cause my death, and I'll explain a little more. See, these are devices that are activated using radio frequency, known as RF. The FBI uses radio frequency, and this can be used up to 2,300 feet to activate the coil by heating the coil. The coil is attached to the capacitor, and the heat goes to the capacitor, and it's stored in the capacitor. And when the capacitor is filled, the FBI can easily release that heat into my body. When that happens, it causes a cardiac arrest, and you die. So that was their intent. But there's more to it than just that. They put a device in my ear as well. And I was wondering why my ears always feel so cloggy in my right ear. I would later find out that that device is a device that the FBI can hear everything I say. It's still there. Then there's another device in my eye, the left eye. And that device is the one that gives the FBI the opportunity to see what I see. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you here is that I have no privacy. I'm not a human. I'm a puppet of the FBI. They have taken everything human from me. I'm a game and a toy for them to play with, and they do a good job of that. And I will explain more to you about the video they made without my knowledge and permission, without me present, by them just cutting and pasting my name, my face, and my voice to a video that they use to convince people I'm this monster, when in fact the monster is on the other side. It will be clarified more when it goes to the Senate and the Congress. I have filed a whistleblower complaint with both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress. And this will come forth after the inauguration and everybody is settled in. They have all the information and all the evidence. Today, the FBI follows me everywhere. I live nowhere. I live in hotels like I am right now. I'm at the Stay Bridge Hotel, DC/Greenbelt. It's located in Greenbelt, just up the street from NASA. And the FBI comes here, and of course, I'm sure they show that them that video. So when I checked in, there was an attitude. They put me in a room that stays hot all the time, and this is what the FBI wants. Because if you notice on the side of my head here, I have my hair wrapped around foil paper. Foil paper is the only thing that will block the radio frequency. So I'm blocking the devices that the FBI has placed into my head here. So in order to continue their intent to kill me, they put me in a room that is just hot 24/7. It doesn't have any control. They turn off the control. It doesn't get cold. And this is the FBI way of trying to kill me. They are trying every day. The Congress is aware of the situation. The Senate is aware of the situation. Congressman Jim Jordan, who is the chair for the Judiciary Committee where I filed my complaint, is aware of it, and I think he did tell President Trump about it, because I've been getting regular daily correspondence from President Trump, and the FBI is blocking all of that. So these are just the situation of our legal system in this country, headed by the FBI. Sometimes I sit in my bed and wonder how many other Beverly Harrises are out there. How many Beverly Harris has gone to their grave innocently because of the FBI? Somebody needs to look into this. This country needs to know what we have at the top of our legal system. We have criminals with badges, gun, and a pocket full of taxpayers' money that destroy people night and day. I know this is not an isolated incident. There are more Beverlys out there. So I just want to pass this on to you. Next time I speak to you, I'll tell you a little more about the illegal surveillance, the gassing, the torturing, and so forth. So please have a great day. Thank you for having me in your presence. Goodbye.